Hello. Welcome back, and welcome if this is the first time that you've joined us here. I'm happy to have you joining me today because we're going to have a very, very important discussion. Yes, I say this every time that comes up because the current conversation that you're having about A Course in Miracles is the most important. Why? It's the only one because it's taking place right now in the present moment, which is all we've got. So that makes it very important. It's ideas such as these that we're entirely apt to overlook in the world. We've made our lives, in fact, so complicated. And, well, all you have to do is look around and see all of the drama that we've wrought to think, okay, well, yeah, there's something to that. Maybe the solution to this entire hot mess, to this quandary, is actually really simple rather than multifaceted, multi-layered, deep and complex. Well, it's deep, but it's very simple. So we'll take a look at some of these simple ideas today, and it's exactly these that we're apt to overlook. We've added all of the complications of life ourselves. We've made them up. We parse out life into various little boxes. We have this here, which is separate from that here, and this is separate from that, and this has multiple layers in the hierarchy of importance, and this has a hierarchy of importance, one categorization, an artificial split, and subdivision and division, and further division ad infinitum until we're simply stunned, overwhelmed, frustrated, confused. Yeah, until we decide that we want the peace of God, which is what we all want. That's why we're on the spiritual path. Whether those exact words occurred to you or not, that's absolutely fine. That's what we're talking about. And that's what A Course in Miracles says. So if you're new to this, welcome. And well, welcome again if you're a long time course student. Many of you are. It's these basic ideas that we need to hear over and over again because today just might be the day where the proverbial light goes on. You never know. I certainly don't know when you're going to have what we call an aha moment or a moment of great clarity or realization. So I simply turn on the camera and microphone and share what I'm called to share. Because I don't know what's going to hit home for you. You'll know it when you hear it. That's for sure. And it's your inner teacher speaking to you. When you hear this thing or many things, yeah, it's him. It's the Holy Spirit. Count on that. So there are very simple ideas expressed throughout A Course in Miracles. And we need to hear them repeated, not because we're horrible learners. I mean, we've made ourselves bad learners by choosing to follow the wrong teacher, the ego. But it's not that we can't do this course. You most certainly can, and you will. Ooh, hmm. Why? The separation never occurred. All of this is a dream, and you're waking up from it. That's what we're all doing. The separation never took place. Simple. You're not separate from God. There is only perfect oneness. God is the only reality. God is. period, full stop. That means that God is the only reality. All else is illusion. So, in the invention of language, we can't get any simpler than that. There is only perfect oneness. And in case you're having an existential crisis and some dread, which of course comes up on the path, doesn't it? If you're believing and thinking that somehow you're excluded from this perfect oneness, well, you're not. It's oneness. It's all encompassing, and no one is cast out. Really, it's all inclusive. It's whole and total. Another idea that we're apt to overlook, but which bears repeating often. Ideas leave not their source. Thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker. You're the thought of God. Where are you? I mean, you, your neighbor, your ex, me, everyone is known as the thought of God here in the Course. The extension of God, the extension of love, which extends itself. It gives itself. And it remains in the mind of the thinker. Ideas leave not their source. Capital S, if you please. So these are some very simple ideas that we simply don't want to believe. So, to the extent that you're ready to entertain them again today, good. Please do allow them to stew and fester. Allow them to froth around in your mind and permeate your mind. Allow the love of the Holy Spirit to suffuse your mind. Please. There is only perfect oneness. The separation, this perceived separation from God, never occurred. We were not cast out of the garden by a jealous and vindictive, all powerful being that toys with us like a puppet on a string, feeling greatly pleased with us one moment and wishing to punish us the next. Love extends itself. Love doesn't extend hatred, does it? No, certainly not. That's the answer, no. And you know this. We all know this. We have only to allow this to permeate our minds and accept it. Hmm. People talk in world spirituality, especially among a lot of the newer modalities that are out there, about allowing. Allow it. Yes. Accept truth just as it is. Truth is true. That's another obvious sounding simple idea, isn't it? Hmm. God doesn't do vindictiveness, hatred, jealousy, or punishment. If you were raised in a tradition, as I was, as it turns out in this lifetime, not once, but twice, in two separate buildings at separate periods of time, with separate people saying the same thing. Of course, the people only appear separate. I was most certainly raised to believe in a vindictive, jealous, superior being, in division and split and sin and all of that. It never went down for me. I rejected that notion. So if you were one of those kids in Sunday school that sat there thinking about anything else, or alternatively thinking about how this couldn't be, why would a loving God consider people sinners in the first place and punish them? What's wrong with this picture? Everything, as it turns out. Many people have stated that when they discovered later in life A Course in Miracles, that these ideas came across as a deep relief to them, or some kind of a powerful, powerful confirmation of something that they always knew, something that you always felt, maybe. And now here it is. Ideas leave not their source. Ever. This is a dream. A dream. We're invited here on the spiritual path to unite with what we are. You know what that is. You know who that is. Ideas leave not their source. You are the extension, the thought, the creation of God, not a separate being, because love extends itself. God extends himself. Like extends like and only like. God doesn't know and doesn't do opposites, hierarchies, or degrees. One person is not favored over another. There is no other. There is only perfect oneness. Where God is, there are you. Mm. Again, where God is, there are you. There you are. One. The only number you ever have to remember in the study and practice of A Course in Miracles is one, and that's the math test. There's no need for complicated algebraic formulae. If you struggled with trigonometry in high school math class, fantastic. You don't have to do any more. One. It's these very ideas that we don't want to believe. So we run off and we try to wall ourselves off against the light. And it hurts us. We suffer needlessly. You don't have to continue to see things the same way you always have. Has that brought you the peace of God? Maybe some glimpses and maybe some really, really wonderful moments here in the world. Yeah, but eternal peace, total joy beyond all words and concepts. That's what we're using right now to point to it. But have you had the complete and total and lasting experience eternally? I'm not talking simply a glimpse, eternally. Right. So that makes our moment to moment practice of this course very important. It's paramount and essential if we're to awaken, which is what we all want. And perhaps you're thinking to yourself, yeah, not today. I don't really believe this. And well, maybe I see and recognize the truth in all of this, but I just don't want to go there. Not a problem. See, none of us will go there with ourselves until we're really ready to do it. So there are quite clearly many people all around us that are not ready to go there. I mean, they may think that you're nuts for paying attention to this weird and wild thing called A Course in Miracles. What's that? There is no world? WTAF. Again, if you don't know what that means, I invite you to Google that or ask your kids or grandkids. They'll tell you. This is what we sometimes think about the sheer disarming simplicity of these ideas. Sometimes, perhaps you've had that reaction. Maybe you have. You're not a body. You know this. Not a single one of us is. Sure, we appear to be, appear to be. There is a reason why that idea that we're not a body is repeated so often in the course. In fact, in the workbook for students, it appears in 20 consecutive workbook lessons so that it may stick in our mind, so that we may accept it. One of the most powerful prayers on this path that you can utter is a prayer for guidance, a prayer for help in accepting truth just as it is. Help me accept truth just as it is. Disarming. That's the point. Disarmingly simple. I mean, even in science, we have the principle of Occam's razor. All else being equal, the simplest explanation is the best. And it's always the best, especially when it comes to the truth of who, what, and where you are. We all are. And God is. That's as close as we can come in words. So today, as every day, I'm using words to point to this, which is all any teacher can do. It is the experience that really matters. That is why throughout this series of videos, I continue to emphasize, and I stress it again today, spirituality is all about experience. Yes, it's important to understand these ideas intellectually. Yeah, sure, that has value. That pales in comparison to the value of experiencing the truth of these ideas for yourself. How do you do that? You put them into practice. You do it. We learn this course by doing it. It is a practical course, a self-study curriculum where we allow ourselves to be led as far as we're willing to go today. And then we do it again tomorrow and the next day and so on. Truth is simple. It is disarmingly simple, and that's the point. Disarm. You do not need to defend yourself against truth. You do not need to defend yourself against love. You need no defenses at all. Something very powerful that you may find helpful is that love always recognizes itself. It's drawn to itself. We're drawn to God. We recognize our self, capital S. So when we're not at home in God, having that experience of being at home in God. In other words, when we're dreaming that we're this finite organism, we're simply blocking our view. We're interposing boundaries or barriers, blocks to our experience of truth. Spirituality and the practice of this course is all about removing those blocks. How do we remove them? Well, we identify them. Yeah, we look at them and remove them with the guidance, the loving and certain and patient guidance of our inner teacher. So many themes get repeated here. That's true of all spirituality. I mean, as adult learners, we need the repetition. Of course we do. Because we're often refusing to listen. So maybe today will be the day where something really lands, and I hope that may be so. And I always do. All right. So if you have questions, there have been some very excellent questions asked right here in the discussion forum. That is what this is for. Now, if you would just like to pop in and say hello, then you're more than welcome to do that. I'd love to hear from you. But seriously, questions are always welcome here. Spirituality is a deep process of self-inquiry to begin with, so it's quite natural that we should wonder things here on the path. Now, if you have not subscribed, please do so. I'd love to have you join us. That's the prompt in the corner of your screen. So when you click or hover over that, you'll be invited to subscribe and join us. So please do that. And I will see you all again on the next video. Thank you, as always, for joining me.